not going to give me much time, but yeah.
Yeah, it should.
Play something. Somebody play something.
It's a good show. It's a great show. It's a shit show. Pickle Rick show. Not a Jerry show. Scary Terry show. Lick my balls show. Szechuan sauce show. It's the fucking Rick and Morty fan show, bitch.
Yeah, just to bring myself in, this is the Rick and Morty fan show. I didn't share my screen with Kieron. It's basically been a fucking utter disaster for the last, 10 minutes. Anything that could go wrong has gone wrong. YouTube really sort of bent us over and stuck Rick's pickle in our ass. Does that work?
This wall just disappear.
That was loud. Anyways, dude, take it away.
Okay, well, I guess it's like a cold open. Welcome, everybody, to the Rick and Morty fan show, guys. We're still going to have fun, so whatever. Who cares? We're going to talk about the season finale of Rick and Morty Season 1, which is really awesome because we got to the end of Season 1. The show's been doing good. We've been growing. We got a great chat in here. Loving seeing lots of different people in here in the chat. And we're wrapping up Season 1, and we're getting ready for Season 5 after that. We're going to be talking a lot about Season 5 leading into it. We are going to take one night off for the 100th episode of Fandom Empire Live, which will involve me, but it won't involve Rick and Morty so much. Before I get into the show, I would like you guys to just take some time. If you're new, I see a couple new people in here. If you could subscribe to our channel, give the video likes, comments, everything that you do is helpful. Just like any other place you watch, the more likes, the more subscribes, the more comments, the more activity that we get, the better. It helps the channel. So I would appreciate everybody doing what you can. Also, I'm going to invite producer Sean in to tell us a little bit about Patreon. He's actually surprised me with this one, so.
Hey, there he is. That guy, that face. Well, first off, apologies for that opening. That was not our best work. First mistake was YouTube. Second mistake was mine. So, anyways, Rick and Morty fan show. You guys have gotten to know Kieron pretty well. I've gotten to know him pretty well, too. I think his taste in Star Wars movies sucks, and his taste in hockey teams suck. But it is what it is. Anyways, when you continuously tune into a show, you start to build a rapport and a relationship with your host. I've watched the chat. I'm here 99% of the time, just for once keeping my mouth shut and just watching the show happen. I can tell Kieron has a very good rapport with all you guys. And again, this isn't for everybody, but Fandom Empire has a Patreon, www.patreon.com/FandomEmpire. You can join for as little as $2. It's $2 a month. You can join for more than that. But the reason we're telling you this is this man right here, Kieron, is going to be hosting his own Patreon show. So once a month, you'll get a show that's not the Rick and Morty fan show, but could include Rick and Morty content, among other things. Once a month, probably the last Sunday of most months. Now, that might change during football season because I know Kieron's a football head, but we'll figure out a time. Once a month, you'll get Kieron's new show, which is called what, Kieron?
It's going to be called Kieron Presents. And it's basically just going to be me talking about more random topics. We got a little X-Men symbol in there. We got we added a little leprechaun in there because I think probably the first episode might do some leprechaun stuff, but it's just going to be me talking about a little bit different comments. And that is actually me dressed up as Johnny Cage from the newest Mortal Kombat game. I did that for a fan expo.
Nice. I didn't know that was a Johnny Cage outfit. You're rocking.
Yeah, that's in the most recent Mortal Kombat, they go back in time, and Johnny Cage goes back in time, and he actually has like an even more of an asshole self as him being even younger, and that's how he dresses.
Interesting. So Kieron's Patreon show, which is called Kieron Presents, will air once a month on Patreon. You can subscribe for as little as $2 a month. It goes a long way to helping out the channel, helping out Kieron, and everybody else at Fandom Empire. You can subscribe today. I posted the link in the chat. Kieron Presents debuts, I believe we agreed on May the 30th. No time, but in order to see the show, it will be exclusive to Patrons. You need to sign up for the Patreon, and he's got a bunch of good stuff coming. Without further ado, though, here's Kieron and today's episode of the Rick and Morty Fan Show.
All right, guys, let's get into it. Only episode 11. It's the only season that has an episode 11. It's season 1, episode 11. It's not exactly my favorite show, I have to be honest. It's not my favorite episode, but it's a really good season finale because it involves a lot of characters, a lot of storylines that we see going forward. It sets up things. It's got some great characters. It's got some good gags. And, I mean, I'm not to say I don't like it in any way because, like I've mentioned before, I've kind of fallen in love with every episode of Rick and Morty, so what can you do? I love pretty much all of it. But we open up on season 1 finale with basically Jerry and Beth are leaving to go on this Titanic-themed cruise. Jerry's super excited about it. Beth is really, really upset about it. I imagine this as being maybe like a Jerry gift that he gave her for Christmas or gave her for her birthday, but it was like a Homer Simpson gift, if you will. Where he's like, oh yeah, we're going to go on a Titanic cruise. And she's like, oh yeah, sounds good. So that's kind of how I envision it. He seems really excited. She seems like she just wants to like have time away from kids. So it's pretty funny. I like, basically, Rick tries to brush them off. Yeah, go. Me and Morty got some synthetic laser eels in the garage that we need to attend to. And then there's a really good gag involving Jerry where basically Beth says, like, if there's anything out of place, if anything goes wrong, you're not taking Morty on any adventures anymore. And Morty says, oh man, if my mom says it, you know it's true. And obviously Jerry you can see a look on his face. He takes this as like, no, I'm the boss. I'm the boss around here. We all know that Jerry is not the boss around here, but so that's where he goes into, if one thing is out of place, one thing, a single thing, and then he's trying to pull up his pants and show that he's the man and, whatever, but everybody knows that's not true, including his own kids. So that sets off the episode. It splits our plots into A and B plot, which we have the plot of the house party and we have the plot of the Titanic-themed getaway that Jerry and Beth are on, which is actually a really funny B story. And it starts off as kind of like Summer's party versus Rick's party. Summer says she's going to start a party, and then Rick basically says, you can't have a party, because I'm having a party, bitch! And it's good. It starts off. Actually, when I was reviewing this episode like I do. I basically watched the episode like 6-7 times before I do this for you guys. So I'm like, really have it entrenched in my brain. And I was watching it once and my daughter walked by right when he says like, I'm having a party, bitch. And she like gave me this weird look. It was, it was pretty priceless for me. So yeah, we start off with that. There's some funny types of things like Rick says like, or Morty says, how many people do you invite? And he's like, people? 6. And then that's when we get the Glip-Glops coming in, Glip-Glops from the third dimension. There's a lot of Justin Roiland alien names in here. You got Glip-Glops, you got floopy doop and a schmoopy doop and all sorts of crazy sorts of, just those Justin Roiland names that we've mentioned before. They're all basically just rhyming dumb, characters come in. He's like, hey, Derpy Derp, how's that going? Like, they always have dumb names like that. So we get a lot of that in that episode. I really enjoy that. And of course, like Lance mentions in the chat here, Summer is trying to throw a party to get popular, get with the in crowd. But Rick only throws a party for one reason: to get riggedy wrecked, son. So that's kind of the setup for the episode. Like I said, I like this. I like this as a season finale because when you think of it, it has a lot of elements from this season and a lot of elements from the next season and it's literally a party. So it's literally a finale. It's literally a party for the end of season 1. So I'm assuming that's kind of the reason they did it. Like, I feel like they thought like, oh, we're ending our season. Let's have a party. Like, let's have the episode be a party. So that's one of my thoughts. It has, if you look in the background, it has the Council of Ricks. So you see a couple Council of Ricks guys come out of a portal at one point to show up at the party. Which is funny because Rick mentions that he parties with half the people that try to kill him, next week. In a later episode, that would be in season 3, but it holds true. Like, even at the start of this, you do see stare people. You see some of the red fish tusk people in the background. Bird person shows up. Squanchy's there. Gearhead's there. Got Slow Mobius, Aberdolf Linkler. Brad's there from earlier on. Brad doesn't really show up so much. The football playing jock is more a season 1 character, but he has a little bit of an arc in season 1, and he shows up in this episode, which is cool. And Jessica is there, of course. Important for Rick to get kind of Morty out of the way. He has Jessica there. So I like when the party's going on. There's some pretty good gags. There's little tiny people who jump into a drink, which then gets drank by another one of our characters that's supposed to look like Ryan Ridley because he's got the flip-up black hair. We got, like I mentioned, the don't invite a floopy doop and a schmoopy doop for the same party. And the weird monster who looks like two people having sex in Beth and Jerry's bed, but it turns out to be one alien who's actually sick and throwing up. But yeah, lots of crazy stuff. It kind of is like, it has sort of the things that you would see from like a party episode of anything or a party movie. There's one person, Morty, who is just freaking out about the house the house is getting torn apart. Like, don't touch this. Like, just walking around getting upset. And basically Rick gets bothered by Morty being a buzzkill the whole time and sends him off to get some Calaxian crystals, which he thinks are so that they can get their home back, because their home gets transported from Earth to some crazy dimension via some weird shit in Rick's garage that Morty knocks over. We do get to the Jerry and Lucy storyline. Basically, like we said, Beth's really unimpressed with this whole thing, and he's pretty upset with the fact that Jerry even picked this vacation, and she just wants to settle down. Like, she just wants to relax and read her book. And Jerry finds this maid who works on the ship, Lucy, who is a big Titanic fan and basically does all the activities with him, and becomes a strange creeper. I really enjoy the part where she leads him off to this other room, and it's the famous scene from Titanic where they have sex in an old car in the ship and whatever. And basically Jerry turns around, she throws her clothes off and just says, like, like, we're going to reenact a scene in the movie. And Jerry's like, oh. And they draw this character extra weird and wrinkly, and like, they go at quite a lot of lengths to make sure that this character does not look very good with her clothes off. So it's pretty funny that Jerry gets, any other guy would just be like, okay, like, like he would find a place to wrestle the gun away from her or whatever. But of course, Jerry's just like, Jerry's Jerry. So Jerry's not going to be able to do anything about this situation. He just has to wait around until Beth saves him. But getting back to the party, and I'm going to tie this episode into something we're going to do later. I actually had a comment come up in the group and really gave me a good idea for something we're going to do going on in this channel or on this show. But keeping with the show, keeping with the episode. So basically, Rick gets rid of Morty, sends him off with Aberdoff Linkler and Summer's friend. Well, Summer's friend she doesn't really like, who becomes a reoccurring character as well. Basically, everyone gets rid of the people that are bothering them. They get rid of all the people in the party who are being buzzkills and stuff. Send them off and send them to go get Calaxian crystals. Now, when they get back, after they collect the crystals and Aberdoff Linkler seemingly meets his end to some crazy monster, they basically get back to find out that Rick basically sent them out to get drugs. This wasn't going to help them at all. They could have, in classic Rick, he's like, oh, I need this in order to get back. And then when they come back, he's like, oh, no, I could have done it anytime I wanted to. I just fucking wanted that thing that you were asking for. And sends Morty into this fucking crazy, problematic, could die situation while he sits home and parties. And, it just furthers the weird relationship between Rick and Morty. So I do like the Cape Fear. They make fun of Cape Fear at the end. The crazy Lucy, she straps herself to the bottom of the car, like in the famous ending to the movie Cape Fear, which is mostly famous for that part. But I like that. It also has it's what the hell is that? Oh, I don't know what that noise was. Basically, it has the meaning of wubble up dub dub, which has been a really good gag for a lot of people because you can ask your Google what wubble up dub dub means and it'll tell you. You can you can type it into Google. You can ask Siri, any of those things. It'll tell you that wubble up dub dub means I'm in great pain, and it kind of like. We already know Rick's a drunk. It shows that the very first scene of the very first episode, we know he has an alcohol problem. It's not hard to find out. But basically, this, tells us that, like, the reason that he drinks is because he has PTSD or he has, things he's trying to escape from. And it makes Rick a relatable character and, like, obviously leads into the scene that, most Rick and Morty fans are, I don't want to say they like but they, we all love the part we get the feels when Rick basically, tries to off himself in season 2, I think. We'll get there soon. But, Rick is a depressed, sad person. So we get our first real hint at that here as well. So a lot of important things happening in this episode. And then we get a really funny, they had a really good way to pause the episode. Basically, they froze time so they could clean the house up, and they do all sorts of crazy gags like you would see in a lot of TV shows. They end up like running around playing gags on people. Apparently, they were supposed to put a mattress underneath some person that was falling off a roof, and they forgot to do that. They end up actually watching Titanic on the lawn on a big screen TV they stole from a Better Buy, which is making fun of Best Buy, and they say that Titanic is crap. So even though the whole episode has like a Titanic theme, they basically make fun of Titanic in the end. So it all ties in. And that's basically a rundown on the show. There's not a lot of things that I want to get into when it comes to the show. It features some awesome things like the Rick dance and also the Shake That Ass song. The best thing that comes from that is actually the gif of Rick that you can get where he basically shakes his ass around in a circle, which I think is pretty funny. But I like to share that gif every once in a while. And that's the episode. But what that leads us into, like I said, I was talking about Rick being good or bad on the Rick and Morty fan show group, and we had a friend. Oh, Lance throws in a wubble-up-dub-dub in here, and Lance, I hope you're in a good place. I hope you're not in great pain. I hope you're throwing back some beers. Lance Livingstone, my first ever Patreon subscriber. Well, he's the first one that I got to sign up for Patreon. We got lots of Patreon people, but all right. So so an idea I had for this show going forward is that people like to talk about whether Rick is a good guy or a bad guy, and I'm firmly in the camp that he's a pretty shitty person. Like I firmly believe that he's bad. He's a bad person. But actually, she's in the chat as Mystical Yin. Was arguing that Rick is a good person, and I am totally open to discussion over whether he's a good or bad person, and I thought that would be a really interesting thing to run through as we go through. Oh, hey, what's up? It's Brenny. She's in here too. Yeah, like I would like to, as we're going through season 2, track the curves, the dips and the valleys and the mountains of, is Rick a good person or is he a bad person? It's hard to tell because he does do things that are good, but he does them often for reasons that he says are shitty, or he alludes to them being like, oh, because it like perfect example, in the Whirly Durly episode, Rick brings up that Morty is upset that Jerry is having a hard time with life, and so he takes him out for an adventure to give him a win. And he says, like, Morty's upset about you, so, and you know how it gets when Morty is upset. It impedes my work. So basically he says, like, I'm not here to cheer you up. I'm here because your shit is bothering my work, because my lab assistant is fucking worried about you, so we need to correct this. Like, he basically says, like, I'm being selfish. Like, I don't give a shit. But we also don't know whether that's true or not. So we're gonna examine whether Rick is a good person or a bad person. I have examples from the first 5 or 6 episodes, which is good because that ties into when Rick leaves the fucking Cronenberg universe. Bad example for him. And takes over a new universe. So we don't even know, we don't even know all of the characters. All of the characters are rebooted at that point. After episode 6, every character that we knew in the first 6 episodes has been Cronenberged, and they look like fucking weird Cronenberg characters. And then we meet a new set of characters. A lot of people always forget that, though. The Jerry that we see in the Meeseeks episode is not actually the Jerry that we see for the rest of the series, because that Jerry is the fucking crazy warrior Conan version of Jerry. So that's the first 6 episodes. We're going to look at, is Rick a good person? And so when it starts, Rick rejoins his family. So he's come from being absent their whole lives. You can't blame him or be saying he's a shitty person for abandoning his family, because we don't know why. Because on Rick's level, it could be anything. He could have abandoned them because some crazy fucking intergalactic mob was after him and he didn't want his family to get killed. It could be something to do with his wife. We don't know yet, and we've gone through a lot of possible scenarios or theories about it, but we can't judge him for leaving his family, but we can judge him for coming back and spending time with his family. So that's like a little bit of a tick in the good direction. He also takes Morty under his wing and teaches him about science. We've seen Morty get smarter, so we know that what Morty's doing here is it's making him smarter, because we know that in season 4 he's smarter. He can disarm a neutrino bomb in season 3. So we know that he went from having a hard time with 9 times 9, or what was the question? Was it 5 times 5? I forget, 9 times 9. He says at least 30. But anyways, we know that he went from being not so smart to being much smarter. So Rick did help him in that way. So when we come to the first episode, that's things that kind of like would point to him being a good person. But when we go to the other side, we see that Rick basically makes a bomb when he's drunk to destroy the world and leave only himself and Morty and Jessica so that they can restart the Earth. We all know that I had to make a bomb, Morty. That whole scene, he had no problem with blowing up the Earth there, and we don't know if he did or not because it leaves us on a cliffhanger. In the first episode, he also kills Frank Palicki, the bully. I don't know whether you think killing a bully is okay. I got bullied in my life, but I don't need anyone to go and kill my bullies. So take for that what you will. He asks Morty to help him collect the mega seeds with broken legs. Just basically ignores that his legs are mangled and broken, and says, "Oh man, that sucks, Morty. Like, but could you help me collect those seeds? Like, I really like you to help me anyways. You think you can?" So, it's hard to judge. Like, is he just that absent-minded, or does he really just like not give a shit about Rick, like Morty's broken legs, and wants him to help collect the mega seeds? He also makes Morty stuff the mega seeds way up his ass, and those fucking seeds are huge. They're like bigger than the size of Morty's leg. I'm sure they were not comfortable, and you know, he didn't look like in too much pain when he was running around with them in there, but either way, Rick did some pretty shitty things in the first episode. It's kind of hard, but I think we're tipping the scales in the bad direction there. Let me know what you guys think here. I would love to know if everybody in the chat could just tell me, do you think Rick is a good person, a bad person, or anything else? I don't know. It may, well, like Lance says, lack of empathy. I don't know if he means that or if that's something else in the chat there. I saw we were talking about some fairly serious stuff in the chat here at some point. But we'll get to that later. I'm glad that the chat is moving really good. But yeah, if you want to type in, like, is he a good person? Is he a bad person? What do you guys think? Let's keep examining this though. So in episode 2, he tries to get Morty out of math in the Inception angle, and he even tells he says, like, I need you to come on more adventures, so you're getting out of math. Like, he's not doing it for Morty, he's doing it for himself. So Jody says he's 50-50, which could be true. We're definitely going to get a worse view of Rick in season 1. Like, if I just put together my knowledge from my brain, like, at a glance, he's definitely shows better qualities in season 3, maybe season 2. So yeah, he also risks Morty dying in the Inception land. He says that when you die in a dream, you die in real life, and he has Morty go to some places where he's worried about dying. So obviously he led Morty possibly to his death here. And I always like to think that Rick is smart enough to lead Morty out of whatever it is, but I don't know that, and he doesn't know that. So, I think, I think that I can do a lot of things, but I would not lead my kids into any sort of position like Rick would for Morty. Obviously, these places don't really exist, or these opportunities. Like, I'm not letting my kids go up into space, but that's not likely to happen. I don't think either of my kids are going to be astronauts. Sorry, kids. In episode 3, he helps out Ruben, so that's kind of an altruistic thing that he helps out Ruben, checks out with a while. He also builds a theme park inside of Ruben, so that you kind of want the person to be alive if you build a theme park inside their body. Also, Morty, he sends Morty in, and kind of has like not really a great reason for it. To send Morty instead of himself inside dead Ruben. And at one point, he's basically like, Morty, you're probably going to die, but go see Pirates of the Pancreas. It's it's really underrated. And it's funny because he just, does he know? Like, we don't know. Does he know that Morty would have made it out of Ruben, or does he really just like send his Mortys in to die, like Zap Brannigan sending wave after wave of his own men in to fight the battle for him? Shout out to Futurama there, another great show. So yeah, he risks Morty's life quite a few times, but he also shows he cares for Morty in later seasons. So it's hard to believe whether he did that on purpose, knowing that it was going to be that dangerous, or whether he's just overstating the danger. So yeah, he leaves him in a dead man's body, and he also in the next episode. So this is the one that's in the win column for me. In episode 4, the Zygerian Scammers episode, he saves Jerry. So the real Morty is not actually in the episode, because the Morty ends up being a simulation the whole time. And I feel like he figures that out relatively quickly, at least when he gets out of the first simulation. If you remember, as I talked, there's a scene where they're throwing chips at each other, and I think that's the scene that kind of shows he knows that this isn't the real Morty based on playing around with him there. And he saves Jerry, even though at this point he's not a big fan of Jerry, and he really could have left Jerry on that ship and blown them up along with the rest of the Zygerians and the Zygerian prisoners. So he blew up a whole base with prisoners. It's the same Death Star scenario that people like to add when they say the rebels killed not only the Death Star, they also killed everyone that was in the Death Star, which could be good guys or prisoners or contractors or anything. It's the same thing that Rick's done here. So, but he does save Jerry when we know he hates Jerry. He could have left Jerry there to die and probably had no explanation for it. He wouldn't need to explain it. He could have just left him to die. So this is a thing that I think points Rick back into the direction. He did it for some reason. He did it because it would affect the kids. It would affect Beth. Like, I don't know. He seems to let Jerry off the hook because he knows that his family will hate him if he doesn't. So, or maybe he just thinks it'll impede his work. Going to take a pause here for a sip. Losing my voice, guys. It's hard to do a one-man show. Although I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love this. I love doing this show for you guys. So, and episode 5, he kills King Jellybean when he realizes that Morty has had some sort of negative interaction with him. I don't know if he understands how crazy and far it went with that really weird King Jellybean scene, but once Morty is like, or we don't hear what happens off screen, but he basically, cool. All right. Well, we got a person, Josh, in here, and he's like, "What the fuck is this? Why am I here? How the fuck did he get here?" Josh, you're in my show. You're in the Rick and Morty fan show, and I don't know. You found it through a bunch of links that I post all the time. Who knows? Maybe it's because you like Rick and Morty stuff. I don't know. This is a Tuesday show that happens every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. So we're talking about is Rick a good guy or is Rick a bad guy? And what we're like, another problem that we have here is with the flu episode. With the flu episode, he doesn't seem to have any problem. He seems to be playing around with humans. He seems to be like, he's doing all these crazy experiments, and he talks about how it's more art than science. Like, he's mixing up, panda and dinosaur and, whatever. And just the opposite of voles is praying mantises, so we'll mix that up together. He doesn't seem to have a problem with the fact that he fucks, like, he just fucked up, like, the whole human race there. And, like, he seems to be just playing with the idea and being like, oh, well, I got another dimension to go to. So he doesn't have any bad feelings about what he's done to the human race here. And, he Cronenberged them. He made the Cronenberg world, which comes back in, and we get to see that he actually left behind his Beth, his Jerry, and his Summer. left them behind and just found new ones and was perfectly fine with that. And obviously he doesn't come back to hang out with them or tell them anything because they hate him when they go back to Cronenberg world. When Morty goes there, they hate him. So he didn't go back and say like, hey guys, here's some weapons, you can kill Cronenbergs. Like he fucked them over. So it seems like Rick, I would like to tie in the idea that I have that he has kind of a tunnel vision. I think like as long as he's doing his work, he doesn't give a shit. So, and that's my examination so far of whether Rick is a good person or a bad person. So far, I'm leaning in towards the fact that he's a pretty shitty person, and that's my view. Maybe I didn't pick up on some things. If you want to comment, you're commenting in the chat here, and I'm going to go over the chat. I always rewatch my shows, go over the chat. I talk to a lot of the people in the chat regularly, so we'll get there. But if you want to comment on the video as well, on the YouTube video, let us know. And got a message in here. Let us know what you're thinking, and I'll read it and get back to you. And I'll message you on YouTube. I'll message you in the chat. I'll do whatever. So yeah, Rick is a shitty person in my opinion. Let's see what's going on with the chat here. Anytime you see me like looking in like this with my eyes like this, I'm reading the chat because I'm blind. So let's see if I can get it on my phone. Let's see what people think about Mr. Rick Sanchez. All right. So we got our friend Josh in here. It's not that bad. Alex says it's not that bad. He doesn't feel bad. He just buries it. Yeah, I feel like he just buries. I feel like that's true. He's just like, yeah, I'm here. This is the situation. Like I'm whatever. But he doesn't seem to feel guilty about it. Although we do get like I said, we get the Rick so depressed, the wubba lubba dub dub stuff. So it's possible that he just buries it and actually feels bad about it and doesn't know how to do it. Let's see. What do other people see here? DMT says, still not a Star Wars fan, but I got to say, though, ever since I got hooked on Fandom Empire, I have been sneaking some peeks at a few clips, and there are some of the older movies. Yes, yeah, we're all fans of Star Wars in here, so Star Wars bleeds into our content a little bit. Even my show, Fandom Empire Live. I mean, the problem is Star Wars is a really hard gig to get into because there's a lot of Star Wars shows out there. There's a lot of YouTube shows, a lot of YouTubers just for Star Wars, and so we like to do a little bit of Star Wars stuff because we love Star Wars. I'm pretty sure all of the staff on Fandom Empire are a Star Wars fan in some sort of way. And so it bleeds into our content, even though it's not, it's really hard to break into that sort of fandom. Alan says, he has lots of opinions. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if he likes something is dumb. So if something's dumb, he doesn't give a shit. That makes sense. Alex says that Rick and Morty's versions of, Alex Roof says, Rick and Morty's version of Inception is better than the movie. Well, you agree with Dan Harmon then, because Dan Harmon hates the movie Inception. You can look up, if you look up YouTube, you'll see that there are numerous videos of him talking about how much he hates the movie Inception. It didn't make sense. I like the movie Inception, but I don't really, you know, when you like, oh, this doesn't make sense, that doesn't make sense. I was just kind of blown away. I didn't have to put the pieces together to like it. Misty Stone thinks that Rick is a narcissist, which I think is definitely true. Although he might be one of those, not a true narcissist, because a true narcissist usually thinks that everything they do is gold. But there are those like kind of mock narcissists who think that, you know, they put out a persona that they love themselves and they're great and everything I do is right. But then inside they feel differently. Inside they're putting on a show. They're just putting that out there so that people believe they're shit and they're really scared people. And I don't know if that's real people. That's how real people are quite often. I think Morty says, Alan says, I think Morty says perfectly about gluten to Jerry. He's like a tattoo. Well, he's like a tattoo is there because Rick is too lazy to explain why. Sorry, I'm blind. I can't read this. I'm going to need glasses someday. I was a welder for a large portion of my life, so I probably messed my eyes up. Michael Bish isn't here. Michael Bish is our brand new Fandom Empire staff on our Thursday shows. Well, he will be on our Thursday shows. I'm sure he will be on other shows as well. That's about all the time I got for you guys today. I do have a really exciting guest that may be happening tomorrow. The first ever guest on this show that I'm going to make a video for. So I'm hoping that turns out successful, works out great. I'm not going to let you know who, just in case it doesn't work out. Then the guest will just be like my brother or something. I'll bring someone in. But really excited. Could be some big things coming here, guys. Thank you. And once again, if I could just remind you guys, like this video, subscribe to Fandom Empire YouTube channel. And if you want to catch my new show, which I'll be talking about all sorts of random shit, and come in and have some laughs and hang out with some of our Patreon subscribers. We're gonna have an awesome show about the Leprechaun movies because fuck, why not? I know that I know that Sean will have a hard time even getting through that video, so it'll be funny. Sign up on Patreon. It's Patreon/Fandom Empire. I don't know. You're gonna throw in a link there. Sean's gonna throw in a link right here. So if you want to do that, you can do that. Catch my new show for as little as $2 or $3, I think it is. And thanks. I appreciate everyone in the chat here. I will see you guys on the Rick and Morty Fan Show, Facebook. Instagram is Rick and Morty Fan Show, all one word. And we got it at the bottom here. My Twitter is actually at Gogan Kieron, which is my name, but it shows up as Rick and Morty Fan Show for my name. So you can find me either way on Twitter with that. And you can also tune in to Fandom Empire Live, which is coming up right next after this. We're going to be talking about the new Batman movie. We're going to be talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. And we're probably going to make jokes about how small each other's penises is and all sorts of stuff. So should be fun. With that, I will tune out, guys. See you later. Hit the music, Sean.
It's a good show. It's a great show. It's a shit show. Pickle Rick show. Not a Jerry show. Scary Terry show. Lick my balls show. Szechuan sauce show. It's the fucking Rick and Morty Fan Show.